Okay, there it goes. Now it's side by side. All right. It's always funky going live with this stuff because they have like this awkward moment where
Yeah.
like nothing is going on, right? And you're like, hold on, we're gonna figure this out real quick, right? So I'll do it on mine too.
All right, we're live.
So this is kind of the studio. It's like kind of area we got. We got 5 different mic setups and stuff too. Right. Nice, that'll work, huh? I like it. Awesome. All right. Hey, what's up, Bobby? I'm going to make sure that this is muted too. Otherwise, it creates a bunch of this reverb.
Reverb.
Yeah, like make sure that your mic and your phone audio is turned down. So like your mic on your little muted part.
This is turned down. Are you
Do you have your mic muted on your phone?
I don't think so.
So you should see.
I'm not muted. Do you want it muted?
Nope. There we go. I think we got rid of it. Either that or it's me. I love doing these. Never really. We figured it out like twice, but this like I said, this is the third time where it's like, let's go live, let's do this, and then it's like, okay, how did we do that last time? 1 second. Bobby, how's this? Is this any different? Man, I really would hate to kill this echo. See if that makes a difference. Dang it, no. Sure it doesn't. Dang, I might just have to kill that with the
Are we
echo.
calling Instagram?
I'd rather not. Oh, he said it's better now. All right, one more time. Bobby, you can double check me. And see, have you gone live on like Instagram or Facebook to where it has like multiple views like this? Have you gone and done that?
I've done Facebook, but not Instagram before.
Oh, okay. One last try with that. Do you hear an echo or anything?
No.
You don't? Okay. Okay, cool. All right, let's run it. Yeah. What's up, guys? My name is Braedon Kruse. I'm with Sooner Marketing Solutions. We'll be streaming live on the Blue Studio Instagram page. So if you guys are interested in listening on any one of these podcasts, we do our best to stream live whenever they're happening. So that way you can pitch in, comment, like, share, bring in anybody that you know that might be able to listen in and gain some knowledge and meet some new people and things like that. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Sarah Noel Block. Beautiful name, founder of Tiny Marketing and content strategist and a writer. She helps agencies and marketing departments and solopreneurs create consistent content, resulting in increased know, like, trust factors, web traffic, and engagement. Does that sound about right, Sarah?
That sounds about right.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off. What do you got?
What do I got? What do you got?
Man, we've had a lot of conversations lately. Last weekend, I think before we hopped on this, we were talking about the importance of branding, right? And is it really necessary? And then I think a couple weeks before that, we were talking about process and stuff. And there's a lot of businesses too. There's another conversation. Man, here's 3 points. We've been working with a lot of businesses that are in like between the $2 and $5 million range. And so sometimes we've been trying to have conversations of how do we start working with businesses that are above that. But more importantly is how can we help these businesses that are those tiny teams with tiny budgets, right? Help them grow and scale to the next level.
Yep, that is exactly what we're talking about, is those tiny teams and tiny budgets and how to make content marketing work and marketing in general work. Content marketing is marketing.
That's what we're doing right now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. How to make it work when you have like next to no budget and hardly anyone on your team.
So what do you recommend? Like, I mean, I have a handful of ideas, but if I come to you and I say, hey, Sarah, I've got little to no budget, and let's say it's less than $200 a month. I'm a small business. I'm a solopreneur. Maybe I'm a real estate agent, or maybe I own a lash and brow boutique or something like that, right? But I'm trying to grow. What ideas do you have?
Yeah, I would start off with picking out a core piece of content that you could create every month that you're comfortable with, and you can do that on your own, and then repurposing it like crazy. So I'll use myself as an example. I started as a solopreneur, but I like right out of the gate, I had about 13 clients and I was doing all of their marketing for them. I was their virtual marketing director. So I was a very tiny team and I had hardly any time. So I started off with doing live stream shows and interviewing marketers, the Tiny Marketing Show on YouTube. And I started with that. That was my core piece of content. So I was getting a lot out of that because not only was I creating content, I was also networking with people that could connect me to new opportunities or I could subcontract to them. And then I was able to repurpose it into so many different ways. So what I did is I created a system around my interviews and figured out a way to be able to multiply my content and show up for my audience consistently, even when I didn't have a ton of time.
I work with a small HR company, and they're here locally. One of the things, this was a great conversation that we had back in May, I believe. Not a big budget, not a big team, but we're like, what's something that we can do that not really anybody else in their industry here locally, let's say within 200 or 300 miles, like there's no other business. There's one that's like, I think north of us in Kansas and like Wichita, and there's a HR lady that she does a lot on social media, and she does podcasts and she does like Facebook Live videos and stuff like that. But she's kind of been able to get to that point where she has the time and the flexibility to be able to do it, right? And potentially even the budget to boost or promote or advertise. So with them, we're like, okay, well, let's start with some foundational pieces. Like, is your website good? Like, is it easy for people to call to see the numbers, to submit a form? Like, do they understand what you offer and the different options of the services and stuff like that, right? And so what we did is we were like, okay, well, let's work on your website a little bit. Let's create a plan to publish 20 podcast episodes that answered questions in 15 minutes or less. You can bring in some guests, but they were like, I was like, get really dumbed down and explain this stuff because nobody understands insurance, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is the difference between Medicare Part A and Part B? And so they came in for a 5 week period. I think the total time spent was about 15, maybe 20 hours, like planning, prepping, recording on their end. And so we created 6 months worth of podcast content and social media content as well in like 5 weeks. And so, like, when you don't have a big team to be able to help you consistently do this stuff, it's like, okay, well, yes, I need content out right now, but how can I be efficient if I focus and I put this together as like a project and I say I'm gonna put my time together for the next 30 days and I'm gonna spend every Monday for 2 or 3 hours doing this, then you can plan it out a little easier and figure out, you can strategize a little bit better rather than just being like, oh, I've got to post today. Oh, wait, I got to repost this here, and oh, I got to rewrite this caption, and how do I get it to this platform?
That's a great point. Batching is key when it comes to tiny marketing departments. I do the same thing where I do all of my interviews within probably a month, but it fills my entire season of content. So I get it all done at one time. And then I have my own team now. So I have a video editor who will slice and dice. Each of those interviews gets cut into 3 different live stream episodes. And then I have a podcast editor who turns it into a podcast. And then from there, we, branch it out into social media, white emails, but do it all in a batch. So you can systemize it. You can schedule it out all at one time. And then you don't have to think about it anymore. It's especially important for those solopreneurs and one-person marketing departments to do it that way.
Yeah, spend one day a month, like a whole 8 hours or 10 hours, batch out some content, schedule it, and get a little creative with it, right? Then you're more efficient and it's not weighing you down as much, right? And you have content going out every month. And that's actually a strategy that I implemented several years ago when I first started. I've been in the industry for 10 years. Started back when I worked in New York City for several different agencies, doing a lot of experiential events, activations, campaigns, stuff like trade shows, street team stuff, things like that. And then I started out doing social media when I came back here to Tulsa, and I was like, man, I can't sit here and make post every day. Like, you're gonna forget, and then it becomes a problem with consistency, right?
Yeah,
So
not always creative either.
yeah,
When you're feeling that creativity, you got to do it all at once.
Yeah, and that's something that I really respect with everyone here. And like when you're in a creative block, like just stop because you're not making headway and you're not being creative. Yeah, you're sitting there beating your head against the wall, being like, "How can I make this work? How can I make this work?" And it's like, okay, take a break, come back, get in a creative headspace. And so, like with the social media content, we create majority of our clients, we create it 30 days in advance at minimum. And so by the 25th of every month, next month's content should be practically done and scheduled. Now, there may be something that happens throughout that month that is like, oh, this happened with weather and it's a roofer and let's make an extra post and do something special. That's different. But at least we've got like our consistent post 3, 5, 7 days a week or whatever it is. And then there's some clients where we do it like 2 weeks at a time, because there's some where we make stories 3 days a week, or sorry, three stories a day, 7 days a week. So that's a lot of content.
That is a lot. You have to be really agile too. So
yeah, and so
doing it in sprints.
Yeah, and then you only have so much time to like go and capture content with clients too. So it's especially when to make it unique. So we try our best not to use stock anything. If it's a last resort, okay, it has to happen. But outside of that, like we want all the content that we create for our clients to be unique. So it's like once a month or once a quarter, we'll go and visit. For majority of our clients, we'll do that. Go and visit their location or their project, their office, their storefront, whatever it is. Spend an hour to 2 hours getting a little creative, capturing some unique content, people being people, and using that for their social media posts for like the next month, the next 3 months. And it gets a little easier as you get more opportunities to go and like capture that content, and it starts compounding, right? So we work through a couple landscaping companies, and so one of them is like, we talked about push and fall services like debris removal. Tree limbs and stuff fall down, pick it up, and leaf removal and stuff like that. I was like, I don't have any content for that because we didn't do this last year. So,
Yeah.
but one of the cool things is like when springtime comes around, I've got a lot of really great content that I can use to promote your services because we work together in the springtime, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. So all of your clients then are local, or you have to
Um,
travel to visit them?
no, well, I mean, they're local, like in the state of Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Batching it and just systematizing what you're doing for each of your clients. That's how I work with my clients too, is we plan out the content quarterly, and
Hmm.
then every month we do the content for the next month so it's ready for them.
Yeah. And you can, for those that don't know, you can batch out your TikTok videos directly on the TikTok platform, up to 10 days out. And with
Oh,
Facebook and
nice.
Instagram, you can schedule your posts, your stories, and your reels straight through the Creator Suite. And I don't think there's any scheduling abilities within the LinkedIn platform itself, but there are some really cheap, like social media management platforms out there. So
Yeah, I
it's some
use,
research.
well, we were talking earlier about StreamYard. So I can
Oh,
schedule
yeah, I'm
out
glad you mentioned that.
my LinkedIn lives through StreamYard. You can schedule them out ahead of time.
And since I'm recording this now, and we'll publish this to our Sooner Marketing YouTube channel. But I've got StreamYard pulled up, so this is pretty cool. And this is what you use.
Yeah.
Okay, how does it work? So you come in here, what you just upload a video, kind of pick a theme,
Well,
the fire go.
I record them in here, and you can go live where you're just live, or you can you can record on here and then edit it and then upload it so it shows live everywhere, and then it will distribute to all of your social media channels. But the nice thing about StreamYard, and I'm not getting paid to talk about it,
Oh
is
yeah, this is a non-promotion, right?
yeah, there was no affiliate link here.
I'm gonna sign up to be affiliate now.
The thing I love about it is that you can set up brand kits. So when I'm creating videos for my clients, I have their brand kits in there already. So
Wow, that's so cool.
yeah, all of their colors, their logos, everything is already in there for me.
And it's free to get started, it looks like too.
Yeah, I think I'm on professional. I'm on the highest one, but even that one's cheap.
Yeah, $40 a month or just pay it annually and say, wow, this is a really cool platform.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Before exploring it too much, I was like, uh, we were talking about it a little bit before we got started, and I was like, I got to look that up because I've been looking for the last time I looked for a platform to be able to go live on, like, a software to go live on multiple platforms. It was an insane amount of money. It was like $2,000 a year or whatever it
Oh,
was.
yeah, no, StreamYard is not. And you can download your WAV files from there too. So I use my interviews that I record on StreamYard for my podcast.
So what other, with anybody else, maybe it's something that you do or with anybody else, but how do you try to be efficient or work with budgets? I mean, yeah, like is there anything else that you've talked about with other people in the past, or like, okay, this is what worked for me, or this is what I've tried, or
Yeah, I mean, systematizing my content creation is the most important thing. So going back to creating that core content and then having a plan around repurposing and distribution for it, because one interview will create 3 months of content. So it's one
what?
hour of my time, yeah, that fills 3 months of my content calendar if I choose to do it that way. And one thing that everybody says about me is, how do you always show up? How are you creating original content on every single platform and you're doing it regularly? And I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, how are you sitting here posting every day on six different
Yeah,
platforms or whatever, right?
I am totally not. So I would say if you show up twice a week on each of those platforms, that's good enough. And what I do is I'll take something that blew up on one platform and repurpose it for another. So, like if I had a LinkedIn post that did really well, I'm like, okay, this resonates with people. It's not going to directly correlate with a reel. So I'll use that same content and create a quick reel on the same topic. and, add a trending sound to it or whatever. And then it'll usually do pretty well on the other platforms too. Or if I had a tweet that had a ton of engagement, I'll screenshot that tweet and then I'll create a post on LinkedIn, use that tweet, and that usually blows up too. So that's what I do. That's how I'm showing up all the time.
That's cool. I can't get into Twitter. And
It took me a really long time. If you look on my Twitter account, you'll see my account opened in 2008, but I didn't even go on it much until like the last year. But like writing and marketing Twitter is huge, and I get so many good insights from it. So I regret not like just shutting it for so long.
Yeah, and I've gone through waves on Twitter actually to where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna post every single thought and exactly what's happening now and things like that on my personal, or like when it comes to business, it's like, same thing, but in a business sense. And then there's a lot of there's a lot of really good marketing content. There's a lot of good people that I can follow, like Neil Patel with SEMrush.
Genius.
Which he's a pure genius. I mean, Gary V's like everywhere. And there's
Uber Suggest.
Yeah, that's another good one. And yeah, he's got plenty of irons in the fire with all these different companies that he's a part of doing SEO and marketing and stuff. But I really like his podcast. His is really good too. It's like 5-10 minute podcast.
The
every day.
School?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to that too. Amanda Navidid, she's really good too. She is the content or director of marketing, I think, at SparkToro. She's genius. It's all about content strategy.
Yeah, but like him and his partner, he's not sitting there recording every day.
No, they batch it too.
yeah, and they're batching 1, 2, 3 months out, right?
They did an episode once on how they do this and they're 5 minutes, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
that they're just doing it all in like one day and then having someone edit it down into 30 episodes or whatever.
Yeah. Again, it comes back to the same thing like when we were working with the HR company and their podcast and their marketing efforts and stuff. It was like, you don't have a bunch of time to dedicate, but you got to dedicate something to it and put a little strategy and a little bit of thought behind it and plan it. And then it's efficient for everybody. And then you just let the system roll.
Yes, systems are like the magic wand to doing marketing when you have a small team, is just figuring out the workflow that you need to take for each task or strategy that you do, and just sticking to it. And don't be afraid to outsource when it makes sense. Like I like to show people the Eisenhower matrix and just fill in the 4 boxes and whatever is in that, bottom left quadrant, I think it is. Those are the things that you should be outsourcing. It's not your zone of genius. Don't do it. You don't like doing it anyway.
No, I'm not a plumber. I'm not going to go and fix my plumbing issues.
Right, exactly. Someone else can do it better and cheaper because you're spending way too much time trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Then there's sometimes like, again, where you don't have the budget to outsource. And you either just have to sacrifice and say, I'm not going to do it, right? And I can't pay somebody to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. And I don't have the budget for it. Or just accept the fact that, okay, I need this done. I can afford it. I'm going to find somebody that I can trust to do it and deliver.
Yeah, just don't do it partial. Don't put partial effort into something and have it showing up like.
Okay, we can say half-assed.
Okay, good. That's what I was going to say. But I wasn't sure your feelings on swearing. Don't half-ass it.
Don't half-ass it.
Determine that you're going to be good at it and you're going to practice it, or hire someone else to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about budgets, and we a lot of times we don't do the typical agency 30%, 15% up ad charge. So if you spend $100 a month, we're not charging you $30 a month on top of that for an ad fee. We charge our management. We have a management fee, right? So it's like if we're managing 10 different campaigns, for 10 different services all at the same time, that's a lot of work, and we're doing retargeting or whatever else it is, right? So that's going to be a little bit more expensive of a management fee than just, hey, we're going to be boosting some posts, right? And your budget's $200 or $500 a month, That's how we kind of structure it. And I've seen year to date, somebody spent, one of our clients has only spent less than $2,500 and reached, I think 150,000 people and like 350,000 impressions or something real close to
That's
that.
impressive.
So it's not bad, right? Okay, so yeah, you can give me your opinion on that too, right? Um, but yeah, and actually, I can pull it up too because I'm curious. I love data. I love making decisions on data, and that totally helps me. One, when I give guidance or ideas or suggestions, I have something to back it. It's not just, hey, this sounds cool. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, somebody else has done this, and here's what those results have been. I think you need to do it as well.
And that comes down to like that tiny marketing department mindset where you need to really streamline and figure out what's working and just stick to that. So like you were saying, look at the data and see what's actually working, what's driving results, what's making sales, and stick to that. You don't have to do everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I don't know about you, but a lot of people will decide to hire us because it's like, hey, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard to make a Facebook post, right? And I'll argue that too. When anytime that me or one of my team members are talking with the client, we're like, you're not hiring us, or you didn't hire us because you don't know how to make a post on Facebook. That's not why you hired me. You hired me because you don't know the technical parts on the ads. Like how do you make sure that you build the target audience, and how do look at that and monitor that either a monthly or quarterly basis and make any changes if need be. Um, how do you consistently create content? Because there's only so much time a solopreneur or even a business owner or even a business that has 15 employees. Sometimes the admin doesn't have the time, or they shouldn't be posting to social media. And it's best
Yes.
to hire someone that knows Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and all those different platforms, and understands that, okay, well, the ads work this way here, and okay, if you're a special ad category, then we got to adjust it like this. But okay, so here's that number I was referencing: $2,300 in total spend year to date, 377,000 impressions, 113,000 people reached. Cost per click is 28 cents, and the cost per thousand impressions, the CPM, is $6.27. Frequencies about 3.3.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, for 9 months and they only spent 2,300, and the cost per click was the big thing that stood out to me. Only 28 cents. That's real good.
If you wanted to reach 1,000 people, it only cost you $6.
Yeah, that's insanity. I'm not
And
an
so
ad person. I'm all organic. So that's like a world that I don't live in.
I argue both ways. So I love the organic side and saying, hey, you can't sit here and push ads in front of somebody all day long. That only works to a certain degree. Like there needs to be some level of organic that creates like loyalty and trust and all that kind of stuff. Ads puts it in front of someone that's ready to make a decision sometimes. But here's how I break it down too when it comes to the ad stuff. I say, like, if you look just like a funnel, you've heard of tofu, mofu, and bofu.
Yeah.
Okay, but for those who
Top of
don't know,
funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel for anybody watching that doesn't know.
right? So your top of funnel is like your awareness. It's like your branding. It's like you put your logo on your vehicle. You put your logo on a sign. Your logo just goes on a billboard like that. A lot of that is just branding, where you just want someone to consistently see the colors, the shape, the feel, the messaging. That's it. You just want as many people to see that, because when it's time for you to bring them to that middle of the funnel, for you to say, hey, follow us on Facebook, or hey, come by our location, or whatever it is, right? You kind of ask for like an engagement. So it's easier to do that once they're familiar with you, right?
Yeah.
So bring it in even tighter. And then that's your BOFU, your bottom of your funnel. And that's where it's like, hey, it's time to make a purchase. Here's a discount and a sale, but it expires tomorrow. It's a flash sale, 24-hour deal. Like, people are going to be more apt because they've already seen your logo in many places, and they're aware of who you are. So they make some sort of identification. It makes it easier for them to go to your Facebook page and like you. They've already liked you on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. Maybe they've engaged with some of your posts. And then now when it's time to ask for the sale, it's a lot easier to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
And
Yeah,
with $250 a month, you can do that. You can hit a bunch of people here, and then the next few months you can focus on a lot of engagements, and then you can do messages and calls, right?
right. Yeah, makes sense. Bottom of funnel, I would say retargeting makes the most sense. People have gone to your website and know who you are. Bring them back there to complete that sale. I believe the advertising works. That's just not my area of expertise.
So, what kind of companies do you work with?
I work with most of the companies that I work directly with as a service provider are in like the 15 to 30 million range. B2Bs, real estate marketing agencies, where I'm a subcontractor for marketing agencies, but then just working directly with B2Bs and real estate.
Gotcha. Okay. So, where just anywhere around the nation, or is there a particular geography that you
I
feel like?
work everywhere,
Hmm.
all online.
Yeah, which is nice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, definitely nice. I don't have to travel anywhere for it. I have one local client who just happened to be local. They're like
I
10
just
minutes from me. But
I
that's
just traveled for a gig out to Brooklyn for a company called Babe. And yeah, if you look them up, it's a seltzer drink or something like that. The new bubbly trend. It's another one of those brands. And flew out to Charlotte, picked up the stuff, and then went out to Brooklyn, set it up, and left and came back. So I don't do a whole lot of traveling. That's not like super common, but it does happen. But then like when it comes down to who's going to create the content, sometimes you can't always trust the client to do that. So that's why we take it off their hands to do that. They mean, again, why did they hire us? Most of the time it's because they don't have the time.
yeah. I would say it falls 50% that way. They don't have the time, and 50% they need an expert who knows how to do it right.
Yeah, totally agreed. Um, so I was thinking about like any other ideas on, hey, I don't have the time to do this. I don't have the budget, but I have to do something because I'm not making it enough. I'm not making enough to try to get to that next level. Like, what do I do? So what if there's like any internal customer marketing and internal customer based sales, like referral programs? Okay, so one came to mind with a landscaping company we did. We just like whipped up some business cards, went out and printed 500 of them, and they were part of his referral program. And you could scan a QR code, and then it takes you to the contact page and it says, "Where did you hear?" Put in somebody's name, and they give like a $50 Visa gift card. And then the other QR code takes them to their Facebook page.
Well, I work in the online world. So whenever a client comes to me and they're in a desperate situation where it's like, we need to get in front of people fast and I don't have an audience yet, that's when I bring in partnerships. Partnerships are key. Be guest on podcasts and use like a lead generation funnel there. Have a lead gen ready to give to that audience. Borrowing other people's audiences is a great way to get started and start to build your own audience. Guest post in other publications. I got my first 12 clients that way. People just seeing my byline, me talking about marketing in someone else's publication, and they reached out to me. Being on live stream shows and joint webinars are huge. I get it. Probably on average, I get about 300 new leads from every webinar I do. That's a joint webinar. So in the online world, I would suggest that as a lead generator, a joint webinar, and then to build that awareness level, borrowing other people's audiences. And that's where
Kind of like what we're doing now.
what we're doing now. Yeah.
So when you were,
how often I do this, I do it at least once a week.
yeah. So whenever you work with like a real estate agent, so a lot of those, so you're talking more of like an agent and not just like the whole agency itself, right?
Hold on, I missed you. I was saying hi to someone that I saw join the Instagram. What was that?
Hello. When you work with somebody in real estate, is it the whole agency or is it just the agent themselves?
Yeah, usually I'm working with the founder of the real estate agency. So I'm working with them on the website content, and usually it's SEO content, and email campaigns are really huge in real estate.
What do people usually charge to do an email campaign? Because I've seen numbers all over the place. And I
Depends.
know that there's an art to email marketing, just like there's an art for postcards and direct mail.
Yeah, it depends on the campaign, but I would say average for like a 7-part campaign would be about like 2,500.
And so that's 7 different emails that go out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then built out on their platform, designed, copywriting, strategy, all of that.
That's not terrible. So is that like done on MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that?
Wherever they're at. I'm email technology agnostic. Wherever they are, I'll go.
Cool.
They're all pretty close to the same.
Yeah, they're all pretty much like a builder, and they even have some custom HTML abilities to some degree.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to contact list? When it comes to contact lists, like, is it pretty easy to get that?
I don't do that. I don't like I do all of that organically through lead generators. So I'm not going to be like
So the only way that
scraping
you would do that is if they
contact list.
actually had and they said, "Hey, I've got 1,700 contacts here. I'd like to do an email campaign." Is that kind of like how a conversation goes with you?
Yeah, they already have the contacts, or we need to build out a lead generation campaign to make sure that they have contacts that actually opted into their email. And we'll start there.
That's
And
cool.
then we'll segment down to what makes sense for that campaign. Who should we send this to? And then it goes out.
Gotcha. So if you were to give me like 3 things that you primarily focus on when you work with somebody, what are those 3 main things?
Content strategy, content creation around like the copywriting side, and email campaigns.
So we don't do a whole lot of like, if you can come to me and I can help you build an amazing strategy plan. Like we go 90 days at a time. I can put together like a general 12-month calendar kind of ideas with different seasons, different potential campaigns and ideas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the strategy, it's not huge as a part of Suno marketing. We love the implementation side. So we get it done. We publish it. We come out. We shoot it. We make it and get it out. So sometimes companies will hire like a strategy company, and they'll be like, "Hey, here's basically what we recommend." And I think there's an HVAC company that paid a decent amount of money to have a 12-month plan, and it was a basic presentation that basically had some ideas and some suggestions on where to spend money. And so then they came to me and they were like, "Hey, here's what the strategy was on the suggestions." And I was like, "Well, in my personal opinion, or professional opinion, here's where I agree on majority of these areas. But then on a couple of these, I think it's going to be difficult to compete with, especially in HVAC. If you're trying to compete with Google Ads here in this market, we have a couple of big competitors, big players, and so they spend some good money on PPC."
Yeah.
And so do you want to spend $20 a click and rack up a $500 budget? Like that budget's going to go quick. So you're going to need a $5,000 budget to start competing with some of those players that are willing to pay for those cost per clicks and stuff. So the 3 things that we kind of really focus on, backing up on that, websites, design and SEO, social media management, and video production.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Opposites, we would mesh well.
Yeah, I know. So that's, going in, 30 some minutes into this, that's kind of like what I was thinking. I was like, so this goes back into another thought. So people tend to, I've noticed that people tend to just say, "Okay, you're the web guy. You do the social media." And it's like, okay, well, yes, but there's other things that I can help you out with, or that I know people that I trust or that I
Yeah.
work with that can help out these areas. Like I won't sell you on email marketing, but if we have this conversation and you can't do it internally, come and talk to me. Me as the strategist, I will bring somebody in to help, facilitate that part that I know, that I've trusted, I've worked with, rather than you going out and doing it yourself and failing, and wasting that money.
Yeah.
It's so much better. I know time and time again, it's better to hire somebody that definitely knows what they're doing, that you can trust and talk to and have a relationship with, opposed to just, guessing it and DIYing it a lot of the times. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do that all the time, where like for a long time I was doing the video marketing and social media management for all of my clients. And then I was like, that's not my cup of tea. But I have a huge network of people that are amazing with it. So while I can still come up with the strategy, I didn't like the implementation part of it. But I know people who are amazing, and that is the thing that they love.
Yeah. My ideal goal right now are three main focuses that we've kind of niched on in the last few months, are those three things: the web design, SEO. Web design and SEO are kind of like in the same wheelhouse. Like, how can you offer web design but not do any SEO?
Yeah.
So it's like, so we kind of just say web design and SEO, and then social listings, social and video. But then my whole idea was to come up with a full service, like actually full service marketing department. Like you have not just an account manager, not just a babysitter, but you have a marketing professional, an external marketing director.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have one of those. I have one of those people here. They'd only have three or four accounts. That's it, and they work 5 to 10 hours a week with each one of them, and then they have a team behind them to actually shoot photography, to do video, to do social, Google ads, SEO, manage the website, knows how to code, somebody that does emails. You know what I mean? So I've noticed that a lot of times, like trying to build that internally for a team that is, for a company that's $5 million revenue, or 10 million, or even 15 or 20, is difficult to have those resources readily available, and they still continually to outsource throughout until they're 25 million, $20 million companies, to where they can have 3 or 4 marketing people that has a pretty diverse set of skills. Maybe have a graphic designer that also is good with photography. Maybe have, someone that is really good with strategy, and someone that's creative with making content on social media, and so on and so forth. But so that's kind of like my ideal vision. It's just like, save the money, save the hassle. I'll grow with you till you hit 20, and then leave. Go and build your own team, because at that point you're going to have the money to be able to facilitate salaries for these people.
Yeah, when I first built out Tiny Marketing, that's what I did. I created pods for my clients.
Cool.
It was the same thing, where you basically had a virtual marketing director, and then you had fractionalized team for each of those services that you needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like one pod per every 4 clients or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it became overwhelming for me, though, as like the head to do the overarching strategy for all of the clients that we were doing that for. It would have worked. It was very successful if I didn't get burnt out on doing it that way. Yeah,
being able to grow that is difficult. And having more than just an account manager is important. That person that manages those 3 and 4 accounts, they need to be able to understand the verbiage, the vocabulary, or be able to understand data, be able to read reports and answer questions on all these different aspects. Like, I need to be able to understand video, social, web, ads, email, like statistics on, or insights on Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Because I remember when we had an account manager, and it was like some of the terminology was difficult for her, and having those conversations and be able to pick up where the knowledge that I have was difficult. So one of the things that I did was I created an Etsy shop. I said, screw it. I created an Etsy shop, and I started creating these things to help people with tiny teams and tiny budgets, which this is perfect timing. And so I don't mean to do a whole bunch of self-promotion on that, but I mentioned that because I created 37 flashcards, study cards, that you can download as a PDF, take it to Staples, and print it for like $15. And you can sit there and you can learn what responsive design is, what A/B testing is, what email this and that, and I don't know. There's a ton of really great
That's cool.
terminology in there. So I've met a lot of people that have been to college and have spent tens of thousands of dollars on a degree, but don't know what A/B testing is. That don't know what frequency is. They don't know what some of these things are, towards like, hey, you come into any one of these marketing positions, I need you to understand generally what it is. Like if we're
That,
doing an A/B
yeah.
test, why, as a graphic designer, you may not be running the test yourself, but you need to be understanding how to make the graphics different, unique enough and different. So then when
You
we
need
do
to
the
have
A/B
a
test,
visual brand for your specific business and stick to it so
Yeah.
you become identifiable wherever you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. The head of that pod needs to be a marketing strategist that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So did you, I didn't get a bachelor's degree in marketing or anything. Everything that I know, I've learned from the last 10 years of experience. And I hope to be the dumbest person in my company, to where everyone else is smarter than me and knows more than me, because I've found the right people and put them in the right positions,
Yeah.
But outside of that, where do you have other people on your team that help you? Like, how do you come across the knowledge gap with people that you hire or subcontract, either one?
Yeah. Within each of their own expertise levels, I find the expert, the person who I can come to and say, what would you recommend for social media? And whatever area they're the expert in, I want them to be the expert. I'm okay with paying for the expert over the person that needs my direction. There are roles within my company that I'm totally willing to give the direction, but I need the leaders to be the leaders.
Yeah. And there's been times too, speaking of budgets and everything, I love this topic. This is such a great topic. Speaking of budgets, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's better.
It 100% is never better. I'll tell you
So
that much.
again, I would rather tell somebody, hey, if you're thinking of spending $100 a month or $500 a month or less, save that money, save up $5,000, and then spend that over a 3-month period.
Yeah, I have never been satisfied with anything that I have gotten cheap. I'm always like, yeah, this sucks. That's why it was cheap.
Yeah, I've paid for cheap work, cheap contractors, or I don't pay my employees cheap. Like, I'm not like, hey, you're $22,000 a year full time. Good luck. I can't. That's the other thing too. That's the other thing too, is like 35 is single. Like, you're barely paying bills, and maybe you go out once a month.
Yeah.
35,000 a year, and that doesn't include benefits either. So it's impossible to be able to, like, sell that service as an individual and make it worthwhile without struggling. And I think that in our industry, there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot more competition in the last 3 years than there has been in the last 10. Everyone's just made it so easy to pick up a phone and grab it and start marketing. And a lot of, like, Wix DIY, Weebly, Squarespace, a lot of that's DIY, which is great for your starter websites and stuff. But when it's time to integrate and automate and make things a process, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult with some of these DIY platforms. So it's like, okay, now you need to jump on WordPress and you can, pay the premium for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming down to, like, again, that budget and spending $5,000 over a 3-month period, opposed to just spending $200 a month and wasting it and blowing it. So, no, I've had a contractor that I've had to hire 3 contractors for a project. This was several years ago, probably 7 years ago. Wound up getting me into like a $60,000 or $80,000 lawsuit. And,
Really?
yeah, it was over a web design project. And that's one hell of a story I'll have to tell you, probably off the air. Yeah. And you all don't think, web design, you don't think these marketing, contracts or whatever, can't be a big deal, but sometimes they can. And also, I've learned too, be careful who, and this is going to be a little crass, but be careful who you get in bed with, even on a professional level, and make relationships with, because sometimes people have different intentions, right? So if you can find good people and make a good relationship and carry that on, great. And I think one of the biggest factors of that is communication.
Hmm. Yeah, I have a podcast episode about like how to start that outsourcing and find the right people, and always start with test projects that are very temporary and start to build that relationship first. Get those recommendations from people who have long-term relationships with
Yeah.
contractors. Like my team, one of them is watching right now. I've been with them for years. I've worked with the same exact subcontractors for years. And that's because of doing small test projects first, getting recommendations from my
Yep.
friends that are in the industry, and they've all been amazing.
I don't have a whole lot of friends in my industry. Not a whole lot. I have a handful of like photographer and videographers that I know. Um, but there's no marketing people that I've really found that I can just say, hey, maybe I've got this problem, or hey, I have an idea. Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Or maybe you reach out to me and ask me, like, I'd be like, everyone here is so cutthroat. It's like, oh, nope, stingy. No,
No,
don't talk to me. And I'm
we
like,
have
hey,
friends.
listen, you take, actually I lied. There's one local agency that I really like. But they don't, I don't, they don't do like certain things, right? That we will. And so like, that's where we'll mesh, and they may
Yeah.
upsell it and we may discount it, or vice versa. Like we sell, we contract them out for some of the services that we need, um, and that they have the expertise in, but it's not like, hey, you have to have the whole pie or no pie. But there are some agencies to where I know, like they've cut me out easy, like quickly. And as soon as I've gotten there and made an impact, and I don't like, I didn't see myself as a threat. I tried to be a team player, but there was this one project that I thought of, and it was like, uh, I was making really good headway on it, and we published it and got it done. And they came in and then severely like underbid me, and they just made the decision to move forward with that. And so they did that on purpose. And I've had that happen
Uh,
twice.
I've
I've actually
never
had that
had
happen
that
twice.
happen.
So we're talking like 60% underbid. Like,
Yeah, they
like,
knew how much you were going to charge, so they
yeah,
purposely went way under. So it was like an obvious choice. That sucks. I have
hey,
never had anything but good experience with my marketing friends. And Haley's on here. She's like a direct competitor, but
yeah. And so I'm
we're
like, hey, like, I
always
don't need
help
to
each
like
other.
compete with you on these elements. Like, I just want my pie, and then you get your pie, and then we work together. Like, at the end of the day, if the client makes more money and they're growing, they're going to come back to us together, and I can help you stay in the loop. So like, while you're offering A, B, and C service, and I'm offering D, E, and G, F, or whatever, um, if I have certain conversations, I can loop you, say, hey man, or hey Sarah, like, I had this conversation with them. I think this may be something you want to talk to them about. They, I don't know, or hey, I'm doing this service, and while you're doing this for them, like, is there a way that we could kind of combine that, and make it
Yeah,
work?
collaborate on the
Yeah, I've
together.
never had a problem with that. But it's like anytime that I've tried to reach out up to like I said, there's only two. There's only two that I've worked with, and I'm like, oh, these are great people, great agencies to work with, and we can collaborate like that. But the rest of them, they're like, no,
Well,
no, we can do it. So
well, I don't know. You got to meet some nicer friends.
yeah, again, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe it is me. I don't think so.
I don't think
Because
it's
again, because I'm
you.
willing to collaborate. Like I've asked you, like, hey, what do you do? And I'm already thinking in my mind, like, hey, how can I integrate Sarah into some of these
Yeah,
conversations?
and I'm thinking I hate dealing with video production. You guys like it?
Yeah, you could send us video clips all day long. Of course, we're going to have some strong recommendations on the quality, right? Because it's a representation of everybody. But outside of that, like, I've got two really good shooter, and a couple of really good editors, and like, the people here, they say that, wow, you guys do the best video work in Oklahoma. I'm like, okay, wow, thanks. Like, it's kind of nice to hear stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, so cheap isn't always the best.
No, I agree.
So, do you have any takeaway points? There is something that I should take away from this. What would it be?
Yes.
And this is a tiny business, solopreneur, entrepreneur, just
Yeah.
get started. I haven't hit my million yet.
we're talking to tiny teams in this conversation with tiny budgets. And I would say the takeaway for those people is that you need to just create one core thing that you can commit to doing every month that can feed the rest of your channels. And then you'll be good to go. You can repurpose it for everything else, but just commit to that one thing that you can do a month. And then it'll work itself out through your systems.
Yeah, but I'm probably just going to recap on my last point was, cheaper isn't always better. Pay for quality. Test out a contractor, test out an agency, test out somebody with a small project. If they come to you and they propose you with something that's 10x your budget, say, hey, this is my budget. Is there something that we can test out a relationship with this budget, right? Even if it's a 90-day thing, like, I don't know if it's a free trial or if it's discounted for 90 days and, it's not the full extent of the service. Like maybe it's partial, like there's different creative ways to do that, but, cheaper isn't always better. $99 a month isn't best social media management.
No, it wouldn't be. I don't know anybody who, if you have any self-respect or like, expertise at all, you're not going to charge that little. You're worth more than that.
Yeah, hopefully. And if you're not, you probably shouldn't be doing it, right?
Right.
Like, hey, I'll build your house. It's only going to cost you 20 grand. You're like, okay. Sounds good to me.
I'm terrified at that prospect.
I'm terrified at that point. Yeah. Well, awesome, Sarah. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I know with those that have watched on our Instagram lives, they've appreciated it as well. And we'll have to schedule another time soon with another topic. And I might have to bring you on the Brews and Business podcast sometime.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a pumpkin brew for the fall.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do that. So I've been actually, speaking of which, I've been making pumpkin spice lattes here at the office. I got some syrup and I brought my espresso bar. When we moved into the office last year, I moved all my coffee stuff from my house and into the office. I used to work at like 3 or 4 coffee shops before I had started my business. So I'm a little bit, my blood, I don't have blood. It's all caffeine and coffee. Oh yeah, half of it is. So
too bad I'm not close to Oklahoma. I want some pumpkin spice coffee.
Yeah, it's funny. My team comes in here into the office, and they're all like, 8 a.m., 8:30 or whatever. And they're like, Braden. I'm like, yeah, you want a pumpkin spice latte? You want a caramel macchiato? You want a white chocolate mocha?
Oh my gosh, I'm living in the wrong state.
Yeah. So, all right, awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining in, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, thanks.
Hold on a second.